Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. We're here with another installment of the UNCSW Commission on the Status of Women. This is our 66th year, and Women Leading Change Now, as you know, brings to you every year a group of fine women and activists, and this year promises to be very good. We're talking about goal number 13, which is climate change. And we're bringing you several different perspectives. We're talking about perspectives from children, from the scientific community, from the business community, so all different communities in all different areas of the globe. Today is no different. I've got a special guest for you. I'm Yvonne Gamble, and I'm the CEO of Sanpete Financial Group, and we are a venture capital firm. I'm also the co-founder of Women Leading Change Now, and we, as you know, are a political advocacy organization. I'm going to bring my guest on, Jennifer Green-Blair, and she is the Global Green Activist. That is what she does. She's going to tell us all about Jennifer, what a Global Green Activist does, and then she's going to talk about inspiring children and youth to be change makers in the world. So I want you to give me an opportunity to bring her on, and let's welcome Jennifer to the show. Welcome, Jennifer. We are so wonderful to have you here with us today. And so what can Jennifer tell us about Jennifer? And that is just such a beautiful background there with the flowers. It looks like a Monet background. Oh my goodness.
Impressive. You got that right off the bat. It is such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me here today. And it's such an honor to be able to be amongst change makers in the world. And that's what this conversation is about today, is how to inspire children and youth to be change makers in the world, in their local and global communities and in their own lives, so that they can really impact the world in the most amazing, magical of ways. A little bit more about me. So in case you're wondering, as we mentioned, I'm an educator, a mindfulness and wellness specialist. I'm also the author of a #1 international best-selling book for children right here. And it helps children have less stress and anxiety through the practice of mindfulness in their lives. And the power of mindfulness is a huge piece of what I share in terms of not only the book, but through the Global Green Action Project and its mission. And that's what I'm so excited to share with you today in terms of empowering our mentors, our educators, our parents to also empower the children in their lives with these amazing strategies that support them through social emotional learning and mindfulness strategies that are easily implemented into their day-to-day, so they can literally transform their lives and transform the lives of all those that they interact with, whether it's the animals, the environment, or just through humanitarian initiatives. So I'm really, really excited to share some of those strategies and what that looks like and how that helps support, us just on so many levels in terms of just living our best lives. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about what Global Green Action Project is fundamentally structured in its way to be able to best support our educational system and how it came about. So essentially it is mindful, compassionate action, so that we can use mindfulness and take it that one step further to really empower children, empower youth, and empower global family, so that we can really integrate this mindfulness into our lives through various strategies. And it starts with a platform that is easily accessible for all. So what that looks like is I have different phases to the Global Green Action Project. And phase 1 is basically a platform that people can access. It's a YouTube channel, if you will. And it's designed for, again, as I mentioned earlier, educators, mentors, parents, and youth. And they can easily access it at no cost, which is really, really important when it comes to helping support global family all over the world, because not everyone has access to the educational resources that they might wish to access. So this is a way for them to easily access it at no cost, and then delve deeper into subject matter that is current and relevant to their particular needs. As you know, various local regions and global regions, they all have their own concerns. And so by having this resource database, if you will, or library of information, you can kind of pick and choose areas that are of interest and are relevant to your particular needs. And then what an educator can do with that is bring it into their classrooms and share it with their students, and then start the conversation. And that power of community and conversation on a topic then develops into this amazing opportunity for growth. That's where the social emotional learning component comes in. That's where that community building comes in, right? The power of community in action, and the ability to be able to really get their hands in on a project and see it develop and be part of this amazing positive change in their communities. So if I were to go back a little bit into some examples of how I'm looking at some of the questions that were shared with me before I started the conversation. And one of them was, what disaster risk mitigation is in place in your business or country? And I'm located in Southern Ontario, Canada. And, when I think about the last 2 years and these unprecedented times of what our world or global families have to deal with, I kind of, have that experience because that's where I'm located. So I think to myself, we have had these amazing community support systems in place in our school systems. And it's been such a blessing to be able to be in a place that offers that. But the reality is not everyone gets that benefit in the world. So again, going back to Global Green Action Project, my mission is to provide these resources, high caliber expert trainings and mentorships, for example, to those that are looking for that and are not maybe able to access it. So some countries have these amazing benefits and other ones don't, but this is a way for us to bridge the gap. And if you think of the acronym of Global Green Action Project, it actually means gap. So that's actually a tagline to it, is bridging the gap, finding those gaps and finding a way to balance and provide the resources for all so that everyone benefits. So that is a really, really amazing opportunity for community building when we're able to have this library of resources and really share them with our students and the children and the youth that we want to support. Digging deeper into mindfulness and what that looks like in terms of just helping them further in terms of helping their own lives and how it can support them become these amazing, powerful, empowered leaders. Well, there's a lot of science research out there that talks about the power of mindfulness. And before I delve into that, I want to actually give you a quote, and that actually is spiritual, because I'm a strong believer in bringing spirituality and science together so that we can really truly up-level our global society in the most powerful of ways. So the Dalai Lama was quoted as saying a while back, and please forgive me if I don't have the perfect wordage to it, but it's pretty close to this. So he was quoted as saying that if every 8-year-old child was given the power of meditation, and they practice meditation, the gift of meditation, and they implemented this, that within one generation there would be no more violence. Like, wow, when you think about that, right? That in itself is an example of the power of mindfulness and how we can integrate it into our own personal lives and into our educational realm so that we can teach and empower children and youth to have these strategies and incorporate them on a day-to-day, so it literally becomes part of their being, so that they show up as their best, most resilient selves in their social realm. And ultimately, this is part of being an incredible leader in the world. And that's what we need now more than ever, is these amazing leaders empowered to take on the challenges that we face through critical thinking as well as creative thinking, and through a really deep emotional intelligence component, so that we can interact with others in a way that is loving, compassionate, caring. It's just an amazing opportunity to help in so many incredible ways. So, having said that powerful quote, it's one of my favorites. I hope that you appreciate that one as well. I think it's really cool. The benefits of mindfulness practice, then, if we look at it scientifically, so now we're merging the science into the spirituality, there are many. And science has shown that when we practice meditation, for example, on a regular basis, it actually helps thicken the gray matter in our brain, for example. And that might not mean much to someone who doesn't study science, but what that actually means is it helps you support your emotional part of your brain. So how you show up in the world, how you react to emotions and feelings. That helps you be more in charge, more in control of your emotions when you're not feeling so well, for example. So again, it's self-regulation, right? And when we can self-regulate, we don't react as quickly to situations that might be easily resolved without that reactivity, if you will. So mindfulness helps with our self-reg, and it also helps with focus. So when it comes to learning, it helps children and youth better enjoy the learning experience. And who doesn't want that? To be able to empower our children and youth to enjoy their life and become lifelong learners with a growth mindset, so that they're always wanting to learn about their world and interact with it in this positive way. And so mindfulness allows them to do this. It empowers them to have more self-regulation, better social connections with others, which means that they have deeper, more meaningful relationships. They have more joy, more inspired experiences, more meaning to everything they do. Again, imagine this experience in a leadership role, when they feel empowered in such a way that they have these strategies. It's contagious. Then they bring it out into the world and they share it with others. And we literally transform our world in a way that everyone becomes an empowered leader, doing huge, amazing impact and change in the most glorious of ways. Having said that, those are just some benefits of mindfulness. We could go on. Focus, self-reg, and so on, we've discussed. But when it comes to taking it one step further and taking it out into the world, often when we're talking about leadership, that's the piece where people go, I'm not quite sure how to do that. And we need to instill in the educational realm these opportunities where children and youth are able to have these experiences on a day-to-day. And that's where the Global Green Action Project comes in once again to support that. So not only is it this educational library of resources that teachers and youth and children can access and start a conversation, but it also allows them to start to be able to have a conversation with others out in the world. So you see, I'm in phase 1 right now with Global Green, and we're starting off that foundation of resources, if you will. But the next phase is to help different communities of students reach out to other children and youth across the world. It could be across their city, but it could also be in other countries, for instance. Now, isn't that an amazing opportunity where they can sit down and have real-time conversation about the problems that they face in their local community and discuss it on a global level? That's empowering. And that is an exchange of cultural understanding and awareness. When we learn to communicate in a way that we have cultural appreciation, this is such a beautiful gift to give to our children and youth. It allows them to really truly experience global family on such a beautiful level. And so that is the mission, right? That we want to be able to get to a point where we have these beautiful hubs of students and youth being able to interact and learn from each other locally, but also globally, and take it into one step further still, where they can actually do these live events and create actionable projects in their local community, yes, but also eventually on a global scale, where they can perhaps even exchange ideas and actually physically, when things become a little easier in the world, be able to actually go out into the world and perhaps even be part of another community and help them create something beautiful to help with animal initiatives, environmental initiatives, and humanitarian initiatives. So there's a lot of potential growth here, and the leadership that comes out of this is just beautiful. It's transformative. You go in with theory, and you come out with embodiment of what mindful, compassionate action really means. And that is true, enduring transformation. Hello, I'm Jennifer Green. I'm an educator, mindfulness and wellness specialist, business lifestyle strategist, and I'm also the author of a #1 international best-selling book for children right here to help them have less stress and anxiety and more fun through the power of mindfulness in their lives. So I'm all about empowering global family to incorporate mindfulness strategies into our lives so that we can have our most resilient and happy life. Having said that, I like to go one step further, and I've created an initiative called the Global Green Action Project to help empower a global community through mindful, compassionate education in action. And this helps empower our children and youth through resilient leadership strategies in the classroom as well as outside the classroom, so that we can all expedite healing for all life on this planet, helping animals, environment, and humanitarian initiatives in the most amazing ways. So we look forward to seeing you in our conversation, in our discussion here at this amazing event. Until then, take care, be well. Bye for now. And when we can empower our children and youth to have this experience, our world is transformed. And it goes back to that whole quote of what the Dalai Lama had, which was, we can inspire our children and youth to be these amazing leaders in such a way that there's no more war. There's no more war, because we have the skills, the social emotional learning skills, the mindfulness skills, and we apply them into action because it just becomes part of who we are, part of being human and humans being, if you will. So that's kind of the whole process of what the Global Green Action Project is about. And there's that whole embodiment piece too, is when we connect people with nature. And that is unfortunately part of a bigger problem this day and age, where so many children, especially those that live in the busy urban industrial environments, they don't have that connection to nature as if in the past, where children had much more connection to it. So having that detachment it makes a huge disconnect. And when we are disconnected from nature, we are disconnected from ourselves. So a big part of living mindfully and living a compassionate, mindful life is really having that connection with nature and developing that empathy piece for all life on this planet. And the way we do that is we engage the educational realm in such a way that children are exposed to nature in the classroom, but also we take them out into nature. My experience, having worked in different schools, as an example, can kind of help you maybe have a clearer picture on what I mean by that. In terms of community, and I think there was another question here, actually, I just wanted to review. How easy is it to access climate change, disaster? How easy is it to access those kinds of the services? And again, because I live in Canada, we are very fortunate. We have pretty good access. Our federal government and our provincial governments have these funding initiatives to help support our educational realm. Again, however, it's not the same for everybody in the world. And so again, Global Green Action Project is another way to provide expert mentorship, where educators and mentors, parents can access this information that might better support their classrooms when they're looking for more opportunity and more connection with solutions to problems that they're trying to resolve in their communities. My experience in the classroom, again, going back to some of those experiences of being able to get support, also tie into community. And it's incredibly powerful when you're able to find other people in community, other business owners, for example, that can then also support the educational realm. For example, I've been able to connect with, there was a TD Bank initiative in our part of the world where they were really passionate about the environment. So I was very fortunate. I decided to start a fund initiative where I was able to collaborate with them and gain funds for the schools I was at. And this happened more than once. And I was able to use that money and the school used the money in a way that it was specific to their needs, as opposed to maybe another school that had different needs. And what that looked like, the whole intent was to have an outdoor classroom setting. So you see, this is where we can integrate nature into the classroom and literally have children learn in an integrative way with their environment and start to be exposed to the natural elements in a much more greater capacity, if you will. It is so key because there's so much science that shows that when we connect with nature on a regular basis, it helps decrease depression, decreases anxiety. It helps, again, with focus. And wait a minute, doesn't this sound familiar? Yes, nature is mindful. Mindfulness stems from being connected with nature. So, when we talk about our five senses, right? And that expression, get to your senses, well, that comes from that mindfulness piece. So by allowing our children and our youth to engage with their five senses, really get their hands dirty through the experience of connecting with soil and plants and the environment, connecting with each other in community collaborative activities that help heal the soil, that help heal the plants, that watch plants grow, to nurture plants and to nurture the empathy of watching something grow that you help support to grow is a beautiful, powerful skill of leadership and mindful, compassionate action. And this is the same with animals. When we can teach them to care for animals and to learn where these animals come from and to learn that animals have the same feelings and emotions, they can emote the same kinds of experiences that human animals do, we start to realize just how special the animals are in our world, and that how we are so interconnected in the most powerful way. When one suffers, we all suffer. And when we start to understand that everything is in balance, and when one is out of balance, there are so many other imbalances that occur. And henceforth, this is why we struggle in the world. But when we learn the power of connecting, mindful, compassionate action, and living in such a way that we are connected with our environment, with the animals, with each other, it just brings so much more meaning and purpose to everything we do, and the element of experiencing every moment that we have. So living mindfully, living in the now, is an incredible tool and a gift to give to our children and youth, and to empower our beautiful young women in the world to be the most brilliant leaders with purpose, with passion. And that is what I wanted to share today, was that there are so many ways to do that. And yeah.
And you are doing just such a beautiful job with sharing that information with us. So we are just totally impacted by what you are doing and the way in which you are doing it. I love what you were talking about when you were talking about the integrative mindful learning. What I'd like to talk about, have you talk about a little bit more, and that is that building that global network community in real time, if you could, because those are the types of things that are, some are going on already around the world. So how then now bringing them, connecting them even tighter together, how might that look, and how might, the people, the audience who are listening to this, how might they get involved from where they are, or could they come through gap, through your organization, to try to connect with some of those other organizations?
That's a great question. So yeah, there are different ways. Um, One of the things that is really awesome is when teachers in various schools connect. And so one of the ways that we've been doing that connection piece is having teachers reach out to me, and I have a Facebook group right now called the Global Green Action Project to also add to that connection piece, that hub, if you will. And there are some scientists and educators in there presently that interact with each other. And when there's a project happening, they actually interact with each other. So if anyone wants to connect on the Facebook group initially right now, we can totally have you join. We would love for anyone who wishes to join our group. And it's a great way to start connecting right there, right away. And we keep people current with any initiatives and any future events that are happening. The next step is I'm actually in the process of creating an app. It's in the works and hopefully will be initiated actually probably the next month or two. It's that soon, which is really exciting. And with that app, that will also further support others in the world, because as you know, in some parts of the world, people have cell phones and they have nothing else. And those cell phones, again, that powerful piece of a cell phone and clicking on a resource link that's free is powerful for so many people in global community to access those resources and connect with others. So look out for that, because again, in my Facebook group, I'll keep people current on that, but we will also be able to access that app, which will even have further reach to further support those that want to be part of that networking and collaboration and find out more about what's going on. I'm also presently working on another project with another great collaboration. It's in its preliminary stages, but that will also tie into this networking event. And I can't give away too much. I'm going to have to leave you a little bit in suspense for now. but there is more goodness to come, and it's in the very near future to further empower the networking piece. So that's a little teaser.
Okay. Yes, that was a teaser. That was a teaser. So what we do know is, if you want to know and you want to really kind of get into what they're doing and really stay abreast and be kept abreast, is to join the Global Action Project, their Facebook group. And the beauty of what Jennifer said, and that is this, especially with it, this is global. And so therefore you're looking to connect. You can connect whether you have a laptop, desktop, cell phone, tablet, whatever you have, you can stay connected at all times and in all ways. And then what she also is sharing with us, that they do have an app that they're going to be coming out with. So that would actually give you even further, a deeper access when you actually see someone who has an app. What I'd like you to, in our last few minutes here, let's talk a little bit more about connecting society to nature. I think we're going into the fourth industrial revolution, and we're kind of moving away from not moving away, but we're not moving towards either. Nature. We're kind of getting into the AI, having things done for us, autonomous driving, electricity, all these things. And basically, none of these things actually spell nature. So, what would your take be on what we're looking as our new societies, coming up, where we're literally living in the glass houses, and our food is brought into us or kind of shoved at us or what have you. How then do we stay connected to nature?
Yeah, that's such a powerful question. And the reality is we come from nature, and nature is part of us. And again, going back to that, if we forget that reality, we are forgetting a part of who we are. We are forgetting ourselves. And that's the element of mindfulness. And, I almost need to repeat that again because that is really powerful when you think about it. If you forget that you're connected with nature, you're forgetting a part of who you are. And that is really, really important to remember. So having said that, you can bring nature elements into, a teacher can bring it into their classroom, a parent can bring it into their home, a child can have a nature connection through several ways, for example. So one is you can have plants in the home. Of course, you want non-toxic plants, disclaimer. If you have young children and animals, you always want to be safe. But you can bring in these beautiful plants into your home environment. And you can get plants that help clean the environment, the air, right? The air quality. So there are plants out there that are air purifiers. So certain plants are more effective than others. And you can bring them into your home and it actually helps purify the air. And, there are lots of studies out there that show how the air indoors can be more toxic than the air outdoors. So really, really important. The other part of what I do is that the health element of mindfulness, right? It's the mental health, but it's also the physical health element. So if you forget that nature is not part of who you are affecting your health mentally and physically. So it's really critical that you incorporate nature into your day-to-day. You have to if you want to live your best life. Bringing plants indoors will help purify the air. It helps with asthma. It helps with any respiratory issues. It helps as I said, toxins in the air are causing all kinds of potential diseases for our children and our adults out there. So you really, really want to have clean air. So plants in the home help purify the air, helps children and you connect with the natural element. There's this subconscious part, right? When you see a plant, it's beautiful. And you have this just automatic reaction, right? Don't you?
Right. Yeah. Okay. I feel that. So no, you're absolutely right with that. So we want to thank Jennifer Green-Blair for coming on the show and sharing with us so eloquently how she put it. Mindfulness, powerful, empowering of leaders, empowering of children, planting those seeds. And that's what becomes those beautiful flowers that live on the earth. And I'm going to have her come back. She's actually going to be a panelist on our large Lifesavers Ambassadors Roundtable International. They are actually premiering their roundtable, which they only do 4 times a year. So we were very lucky to get them to premiere it here on our show. So she's going to be here, and that's going to air on the 25th of March, along with her other 2 shows that are going to air. So we want to make certain that you are joining us there. And we're going to have her to really kind of dig deep and get into what she does and what they do. We only had, a 30-minute show today, but we're very thankful to have her here. And as usual, I always leave my guests with the last word. So I'm going to give Jennifer that, and she's going to lead us in with her last words on her subject or whatever she wants to share with you.
Oh, leadership is the key to a brighter future for all. And when we incorporate mindful, compassionate action into our own personal lives, into the world, we become the most resilient, inspired leaders, inspiring others. And we're able to help support animal advocacy, environmental advocacy, and of course, humanitarian initiatives in the most magical of ways. And in community, we got this. Thanks so much for sharing and caring with me today. I so appreciate the time with you and your wonderful audience. Thank you.